Hello, my name is Stephanie Aispuro, and today I'm presenting Animals and Children, Their Impact. So what we need to know right off the bat is that the groups that I tried to focus on were from newborn to ages 14. It is important to know that there are more benefits to having a pet rather than the negative effects. There are important factors into having a pet, such as there being control, as in the people in the house knowing exactly what they should do, what their responsibilities are going to be when it comes to the pet. So there needs to be some kind of order for it. In that case, there would be plans enacted so everyone kind of is in line to understand what they should do. So does a kind of pet matter? Basically, yes. Uh, Pretty much the most common pets are dogs and cats. So when it comes to having a dog, it's been shown that a kid is less likely to make mistakes and they're less likely to need prompting. And when it comes to a cat, the children learn that they have to be gentle and can speak calmly. Whereas if it was a dog, they can be loud and be a little bit rough and they would be okay. But a cat is much more gentle, and so they would have to learn that skill along the way in order to ensure that their pet is comfortable. And it also promotes their social skills when they have cats because they are very set on having boundaries. Pets, cats, really like to have their space. And so when it comes to that, the children learn that, oh, if the cat's wagging his tail crazily, it means that he's upset, it doesn't want to be touched. If he's running away, that also means he doesn't want to be touched. But then if they come closer, then it means that it's okay for them to be um pet. So it's kind of like a give and take when it comes to a cat, and then a dog will more than likely just be okay with any kind of treatment as long as it's not anything that hurts them. Having the pets will teach the children many life lessons such as birth, reproduction, accidents, illness, death, and loss. Um, Even though they see these things when it comes to a pet, it does translate to things later on in life. Even though it's not the same concept as losing a person, they understand, oh, I can understand how to cope with this, or oh, yeah, I've seen this before, it's normal. So they learn the basic guidelines of life, even if it's from another species. So when it comes to their ages, it does matter how old they are when they have a pet. So if there are younger children from 6 to 10, they are more likely to have a strong bond with an animal that's a dog or a cat. And if the child is from 11 to 10, they will still have a strong connection with a cat or dog, but there is also a possibility that they will have a stronger bond with another species of animals, such as a bird or a hamster, or any other kind of animal that they are interested in. Some important reminders when it comes to the children's ages is that uh, what the children see is what they'll do. So if they see the parent being really nice, then they'll say in their minds, "Oh yeah, so I have to be nice too, and I have to do this and that." So exactly what they see is what they'll do. So it's important that the parents are really good role models and they really show the children how they should behave with their pet. Otherwise, they may develop unhealthy habits, which would be both detrimental to the pet as well as the child as they grow together. It's also important to note that children from ages 3 to 4 cannot control their impulses or aggressions, so the parents will always have to be attentive and make sure that they're at least in the room or within earshot, so that they can know if anything goes wrong. They can be at the scene and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Uh, it's also important that the children are given reminders that the pets need to be given food, water, to be given attention, and to be taken out if need be, because they are very forgetful. They don't have the developed skill of understanding, oh, I had to do this at that time. That comes later on, especially if they're getting their pet when they are much younger. Uh, Also, the children that are under the age of 10, they cannot take care of a large animal on their own. So Even if the parent says, "Oh, yeah, they've had the pet for many years," they would still need to ensure that they're at least in the room because it just takes one slip up for an accident to happen, and it's better to avoid that by making sure the parents are always in the room and just aware of their situations and surroundings. It's important to take into account how they behave with their pet. Like if they become overly aggressive over time, or if it starts slow and then becomes aggressive, it's important that the parent intervenes and says, you know what, you can't be with the pet right now because you're not okay. I need you to calm down. So it's important that the parent realizes just how they're behaving. And in the event that the neglect continues on behalf of the child, the parent assumes all responsibilities over the pet, and if neither the child nor the parent can put up with the responsibility of having a pet and all of their basic needs, then they would need to find another home for them, or maybe just work together in a way where they can where they can grow together properly and in a healthy manner. So what do the children gain from having a pet? So in children ages 2 to 5, they become more active, they have a decreased amount of time on their screens, and they are sleeping more. This also applies to other ages as well, but it is more important for children 2 to 5 because they would need much more sleep rather than, um, the older kids. Um, they also gain social skills as well as physical health and cognitive development. Social skills would be like when they talk to them and then they share secrets or they talk about their day to them and really use them as a confidant. Their physical health would have to be when they go out and they go on runs with their pet or they're just outside and really enjoying being outside with their pet. Cognitive development because they learn basic skills and they develop motor skills like they learn to play with them like throwing the ball, they can kick the ball or they learn to run. So they kind of work together because they grow together. They do develop higher levels of empathy when it comes to a pet, especially when they have them for a really long time, because they learn to really take into consideration how they feel. So if they were to accidentally kick them when they were walking because they weren't looking, they would immediately say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," and they would start apologizing. There is a part of the information in the websites that said that when a child has autism and they have a pet, it is likely that they reduce their stress and allows them to have a really strong bond with them. So that's important for their development because they would essentially see the pet as their safe place and it would be their constant, which is something that they would need to help them tackle the day-to-day changes in their lives, such as if something were to be moved around, like the living room. They also learn how trust is a valuable asset. So basically, their actions would impact how their pet would react. So if the kid does something and then they recognize that the pet didn't like that, then they would have to essentially earn their trust back because they stopped liking them because of whatever they did. So they would learn that and they would have to basically try and better themselves along the way. They also learn good communication. They can develop higher self-esteem and self-confidence. This is because of the positive emotions what that comes with having a pet and constantly being with them. Um, Children also learn responsibilities such as when they take care of them, they learn patience because they would have to wait for them to do something like if they're being trained or if they're misbehaving and they want to try and correct their behavior. They learn to love something that is more than just a person. They learn to understand that it is a living being and they essentially deeply care about them. They learn to share as well. Like in the case of a dog, they learn to share some of their food. Like if it's a piece of chicken or when they don't want to eat their veggies, they would share. Um, and then in the case of them having more than one pet, they would essentially distribute the food equally. So there is that. They learn to be compassionate. So when they're feeling tired and just they can tell when their mood is off, they would essentially go out of their way and try and make them feel better. And then we I learned that overall having a pet is good for their development. Um, there is also um this finding that the pets can be a bridge between families, especially in the case of when a child is in the foster care system. So they could see the pet and bond with them, and then the parent would come in and they would bond over the pet, and then their relationship will slowly build off based on their common interest. So that, in a sense, does provide them comfort and is basically the stepping stone to starting a healthy family. In the case of when the child is a single child, they may see their pet as a sibling, so they learn to treat them with much more respect than um, a typical household person would. So they respect them more, they value them, and they really see them as a confidant in more ways than one. And all around their bond is just much deeper compared to someone who has a lot of siblings and is used to chaos. So a single sibling, single child would find more value in having the pet than not having them at all. And there is also the finding that there are people who have never had a pet in their lives when they were growing. Those people, while they do develop fine and they learn all their life skills, there is a delay in some of them, such as communications and problem solving. Um, so in such case, it would be much more beneficial for someone to have a pet, even if it's just for 1 year of their life. That has shown to have a great impact on who they become later on in life. And then there was also this one study that found that if a household has a pet with an infant child and they grow together, by the time that child is 10 months old, they can understand the recognition of the pet. But I thought that was really interesting to share. So what I learned is that there's many emotions when it comes to having a pet at home, and all around it's much more positive than it is negative. And also that it is much better to have the pet at any stage in life than never having one at all. The children all around just learn more from pets than just people because it's just easier to love them. Um so I decided to pick this topic mainly because I wanted to see how much it can influence having a pet on a family. And also, I wanted to pick this because I wanted to kind of influence my sister on why she should have a pet. And I remember when I told her about this, she said, "You know what? Maybe I should have a pet." So I think everyone should have a pet. um, that is it. Thank you.